Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eye Test. Your boy Lyés and my guy CultureCams. We're back. International break is coming towards an end. Hasn't been as exciting as the last one, I have to be honest with you. But there is one emerging story kind of coming out of the dust, and that is that England will have a new head coach, and it will not be Lee Carsley. And if rumors are to be believed, Thomas Tuchel is in direct conversation with the FA to be the new head coach of the English national team. Now we're going to have a discussion about that. First of all, we do have an England fan here in CultureCam, so he'll give us his opinions on that, how he thinks that could potentially look, his thoughts on this, because I know you had some comments or some thoughts as well on how England should kind of be looking for their managers. And also, how does this affect a team directly probably looking for a manager at Manchester United? So, should be a good one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cam, how you doing anyways?
All good, man. All good. Busy week coming. Birthday on Friday. So put in the comments, you know what I'm saying? Like, wish your boy a happy birthday, do you know what I'm saying? But
yes, sir.
Yeah, birthday on Friday. So brother's wedding on Thursday. So it's just a family week, should I say.
Yeah, family week.
You know what I'm saying? A week full of love. But yeah, man, obviously I just want the international break now. I'm glad it's over. But a little bit of the news, as you're saying, is still spilling out. So I mean, let's get into that, man.
You can take this where you want, man. Like I said, this is your national team.
Yeah.
The day Algeria hires a new manager, I'll start the convo. But give us your first initial thoughts on Thomas Tuchel as a New England coach.
I've got like two feelings. Obviously, you got a feeling towards your club. Obviously, our club, Man United. I'm thinking, oh wow, okay, so that means a potential candidate for the job is gone, or somebody that was at least rumored with it. At least we know, pretty much confirmed, that we spoke to him in the summer. So that's interesting.
If it's to be believed, he was Jim Ratcliffe's
priority, yeah,
number one choice, yeah.
Then I looked at it for England as well, and I'm like, I'm still two sides to that as well. I understand I think you're on the side of it, so you can give your point on it. I understand the kind of viewpoint of get the best manager available, but when has that ever been an international manager thing? Why haven't other nations just gotten the best manager available? Because for me, I truly believe if you're a big nation, your manager should be from that country. I believe that. I think England should have an English manager. I think Italy should have an Italian manager. Brazil should have a Brazilian manager. And on so
Why
on.
do you think
and
that?
so forth.
Give me bar the nationalism point of view, right?
It's not got anything to do with, oh, this is my country.
But like, give me your logic here in terms because you also made it very clear just for the big nations. Other nations, it's not as much a priority. Why do you think for the big countries it's so important that they hire someone from within their own people?
The reason why I say that is because of coaching infrastructures first and foremost. The level of coaching, the level of promotion of the coaching system in the bigger nations naturally is going to be more. You're going to have more UEFA A licensed coaches. You're going to have more UEFA B licensed coaches. You're going to have legends of the game. It's just the natural evolution of football. I understand that Nigeria might not be able to get all the time a Nigerian manager. And even then, Nigeria have gone for... We had Stephen Keshi, our best manager in a long time. Like, I understand it. I understand why Algeria. I understand why Egypt, whoever... because of the infrastructures, money that's into the African football, money that might be in the Egyptian game, money that's into the Nigerian game. Yeah. You see it. You see the level. It's not at a standard so to probably match what the player quality potential is. So I understand why the smaller nations will have to go for maybe what's the best out there or for foreign managers. But when you're a big nation that have the infrastructure, that have legends of the game, that have all this type of things, I don't understand going for... I don't understand, but I don't think they should go for foreign managers. I just don't think they should. And listen, people are going to say, maybe I'm being extra. No World Cup winning manager has ever been foreign.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact. No World Cup manager...
So every World Cup winning team has come from...
the nation. The manager has been from the nation that he won it with.
Okay.
And the only manager to win the Euros... that's foreign. Can you guess?
Is it recent?
Not really.
Is it Otto or Hegel?
There we go. Rehagel was German.
Hey, where's my mastermind trophy, by the way?
Rehagel was German who managed Greece. And what did I say? Yeah. Small nation. Other than that, every single manager has been from their home country. I just think if you're looking at how it's success, if you're looking at history, it makes sense to have a manager from the country that they are representing. I just don't understand. I just don't
I'm
think.
trying to think in general, because we were talking about this like big. When I say big nations, I'm not talking like literal like geographical size, but we're talking about the historical powerhouses in world football. So we're talking
in a way geographical size as well, because geographical size does actually
but I think
have
footballing
influence on-
status and how good the footballing infrastructure is way bigger. Like for example, Algeria is the biggest country in Africa. How good
I had
are
no
our
idea that was the case.
Yeah, we're the biggest geographical
okay,
country
cool.
in Africa.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so
It comes down to
yeah,
finances
I'm
and stuff.
talking
Yeah,
more
yeah.
so if we're talking about like the big 7 or 8, right? Like France, Brazil, Argentina, England, Spain, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Portugal. Let's say those 9. I was genuinely trying to think which of those have ever gone down the route of hiring a foreigner. And of course, England have 2 in Sven and Capello, and it was actually back to back. And outside of that, you have Portugal now with Roberto Martinez
And Scolari.
and Scolari as well too. Outside of that, I can never remember France hiring a foreigner. I can never remember Spain hiring a foreigner, unless someone is really like massively escaping my memory here. They typically do tend to go towards one of their own. Another thing I would like to kind of, because I'm not as passionate about this point of view as you are, because you clearly like, not saying like you're gonna fuck Tuchel.
No,
I'm not gonna support.
Sven.
I'm not saying that's the case, but right, but you clearly have like, this is something you're pretty consistent with. I'm not as fussed about that, but one thing I will say is that a viewpoint that I do think it kind of holds merit here. If you have a guy that is from the same country as the players that he's managing, I do feel in terms of communication, and I do feel in terms of how much they're actually in the country, they're living in the country as well too. Like, is now Thomas? I guess England's a bit different because it's a world tourist place, right? Thomas Tuchel can live in London. He's lived in London before. But I always thought, for example, whenever Algeria hires a foreign manager, we're going to hire a guy that's never going to live in Algeria. Like, he's going to spend 90% of his year away. So he's not going to really understand the culture. He's not going to understand the players and understand what it means to be an Algerian coach. A language barrier is probably going to be a difficult thing there. So all of those things, it's a set aside from the tactics and the infrastructure, all of that. But I do think when it comes to managing a national team, and when we talk about international football, we always talk about how it's more man management. It's how can we get the group together? How can you get them uplifted? How can you build a platform for them? I do feel like hiring someone from within your own camp, within your own country, will understand how to do that a bit better.
My thing is, right, as well, is just like on the England side, listen, people, let's be mature. This is not a xenophobic conversation.
No, not at all.
Nothing. If Thomas Tuchel comes to England, I will be championing him. Trust me. I'll be supporting him. I supported Capello. I supported Sven. It's not a thing like that, right? But, I mean, this country were just battering Lee Carsley for not singing the national anthem. And the next thing you do is hire a German. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. He was getting killed for it. He was getting questioned by the media.
That was ridiculous, though.
It was. But I'm just saying they were doing that. And in the next thing is hire German. Now, to be fair to the FA were not saying, Carsley, why are you not singing the anthem?
That would have been ridiculous.
So that's fair. But my thing is with the England thing is like, you built St. George's Park to be this kind of flagship of English football, like where everything homegrown England comes to, for the whole basically head leader of it now to be a foreign manager. For me, that doesn't link down to what England's principles, they have been saying their principle is going to be, which is improving grassroots football all the way to the very top. But then at the very top, it's a foreign manager. For me, that doesn't make sense. St. George's is meant to be, is where they do their badges as well. It's where they do courses. St. George's is meant to be this place where English young coaches, English think one day, I'm going to run this place. And it's gone to a foreign manager. So for me, I'm just like, it's kind of confusing what England are trying to promote or what they're trying to push there. And listen, as I said, they're going for the option of, well, we're just going to go for the best out there. Why haven't other nations done that? De La Fuente, is he the best out there?
No, in fact, he went through a similar career path to Gareth
Southgate.
Excuse me, Lee Carsley.
To Carsley. Scaloni, is he the best out there?
Not by resume.
Is he the best out there? Who else is there? What other managers? Joachim Low. Was he the best out there?
He was Klinsmann's assistant.
He was Klinsmann's assistant. These are managers that they have promoted within, right? And developed. And now they all became European or world champions. So, and the funniest thing about it all for me is that, like, England's best manager in my whole lifetime was Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, who's relatively
a
novice in terms of
a novice. Came from the under-21s, was English.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying there was Steve McLaren and some bums in the middle of it. However, I'm just saying that I just think like in terms of the way, especially the way they were talking about galvanizing nation, Gareth Southgate has made the fans linked to the players and the players linked with the fans, and I'm just surprised that they're going down this direction. You know what I mean? And that's nothing against Tuchel. I wanted him at Man United. I rate Tuchel highly, but I just think, why do England? I feel like England have this kind of sense of like, why do England always want to kind of go down this route? Is it like we're impatient, or are we just thinking get the best manager and he'll win immediately? Or is it like a bit of arrogance where it's like, because honestly, yeah, and I was saying it, and I'm not saying he should get the job, but I said it to you. So for example, you look at Scaloni, De La Fuente. If tomorrow they said Rob Edwards is linked to the England job, everybody will laugh their head off, right? If they said Russell Martin is linked to the England job, everyone will laugh their head off. Why? Talent 90% of the time dictates international football, bro. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
But Scaloni can go and be Copa America. Is he back to back? Copa America and World Cup.
Yeah.
If Scaloni level man or manager got linked to the England job, yo, he ain't getting a chance. And you saw that with Lee Carsley, because people were like, yeah, let's see with Lee Carsley. He got one game wrong. Nah, he's not fit for the job. Nah, because you never really believed in him, did you? Do you know what I mean? English people, I don't know. I think there's a sense of arrogance here, bro. And England don't win nothing. So I don't get it, man, personally. But hey,
here's the thing, yeah, because I definitely hear everything you're saying, but I do think it comes to a point as well too. Like, if Thomas Tuchel was available to Spain before they hired De La Fuente, would Spain have looked at Thomas Tuchel and said, like, if Thomas Tuchel put himself forward for the Spain job before they had hired De La Fuente, or maybe even if they, like, at the same time, would they have realistically said no to Thomas Tuchel?
I think so.
You really think so? You really don't think it's a case of availability? So. It's a case of like, this is how we do things.
I truly think so. I think Spain, unless England are now saying they are desperate. Yeah, unless England are confirming we are desperate and we want to win now and we are very desperate.
Well, I think there is a sense of desperation. I think they look at I say they look at what happened to the Golden Generation, but that Golden Generation was also managed by foreign managers. But I do think they look at this, and they also look at the stick that was hit with Gareth Southgate the last 8 years, that every time he failed, it was due to his status as like an overall manager rather than what he had already done. Maybe they're trying to avoid that altogether, and they are going to the complete other extreme in terms of a manager who's extremely decorated at club level, a manager who is extremely respected as a top tactician, a winner, and they look at the group of players that they have, which for the first time in a while, like we spoke about a few episodes ago, a lot of this England national team, now they are playing in different kind of countries, does a continental manager with the resume of Thomas Tuchel suit this group more?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, as I said, like, when did De La Fuente get appointed?
I think it was after the World Cup. After 2022. Yeah.
2022. I don't even know.
2023 is when he took over. Yeah.
Okay, 2023.
And he had been previously managing the under 21s, under 18s, etc.
I don't really know who was available in the managing pool at that point to kind of say, well, this person was available. But I do think unless you're getting desperate, if you're getting desperate, like for example, when I'm hearing Ancelotti might manage Brazil are desperate. Brazil haven't done nothing properly since they won the Copa America. But they know as a nation for what they were. They haven't done nothing to the extent that they should have. And I think they're getting desperate where it's like, damn, we just want some glory again. They haven't won a World Cup since 2002. So they haven't been to a final since 2002.
Yeah. World Cup final, yeah.
So, World Cup final. So I think they're getting to the desperation phase. But
is it not time for England to be desperate?
I don't.
You haven't won anything since 66. Like, if we're talking about Brazil, and I know Brazil's a bigger country, but England haven't won anything since 1966, and you've come so close time after time after time. Is this almost like, I'm not saying it's the last card that you throw out there, but it's like, damn, we are poised to win right now. What gives us the best chance of doing it?
The problem is with England, right, is that I don't think, obviously, other than Kane, John Stones, if you want to include Kyle Walker, I don't think England, Pickford maybe, I don't think England have many players where it's like, well, if you don't win this next tournament, it's over for you. Do you know what I mean? I think that stage is gone, whereas there was a period with Rio and Beckham and
they were all in their prime. That group was in the same window. Yeah,
that's why not qualifying for Euro 2008 is the biggest disaster ever, because I feel like everyone was in their prime at that moment. Rio was, Rooney was, John Terry.
That's a disaster on a national level.
Bro, everyone was ready at that point. So that was a disaster. And that was Steve McLaren. But I just think, right, like maybe, okay, as I said, if England are desperate or whatever, cool, go and get that. But I've just never believed, and people are going to say, no, just go do it. Actually, listen to what I'm saying. When have managed peak teams just gone, national teams just gone and said, we're just going to get the best foreign coach out there? Why don't other national teams do it then? Because people are going to say, well, just why don't other national teams do it? That's my question. Why don't they do it?
Yeah, that's a question. That's a question. If any of you guys are from France or from Italy or from Germany, why has that never been the case? I mean,
why do the stats prove home
You know what it is, though? Here's the reality, right? And I think Fouad actually brought a good counterpoint to it. Because I'm thinking now, like, because I'm thinking from a French point of view, who has France hired as a manager? So, France, for all I can remember, they've hired the likes of Deschamps, Laurent Blanc, Raymond Domenech, Le Maire, Jacquet, like all these French managers, right? And although none of them are like the likes of Pep or Conte or Ferguson, they're not world esteemed managers. They were still pretty successful. Like Deschamps, he managed Monaco to the Champions League final. He's the one that brought Juve back to Serie A from their kind of corruption thing. Laurent Blanc, he'd won the league with Bordeaux, so like they were still good managers. You look at Italy, Marcello Lippi, Trapattoni, they hired Antonio Conte, they hired like, compared to what England have had in the past, who were your top managers? I think Fouad kind of mentioned them. Kirbishley, England's what's his name? Sam Allardyce. I mean, Harry Redknapp, to be fair, could have been a decent England manager.
The only one that I think at that point has been appointed where he actually was a renowned manager and it's English is Robson. It was Bobby Robson. That was probably the only one. Glenn Hoddle didn't really have anything. Yeah. McLaren.
But I'm even saying, forget about even the ones they hired, the ones that were even available to them at that point. England, for the longest time, you looked at the managers compared to
the manager. Yes,
it was a poor manager, like in terms of the elite level, right? They're all good managers in their own right, but elite managers fit to coach the elite teams. It hadn't really been the case. So now I guess is the first point in a long time where you can maybe say the managers at their disposal are of a higher level, but still they're nothing to really write home about.
No,
man.
they're not to.
Like you're gonna hire Graham Potter based on his footballing identity, but you're not really hiring him off crazy success at the elite level.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I'm very, very vocal about how bad the English coaching thing is. We had a discussion. Go abroad. Englishmen, go abroad. Go and learn your traits abroad. Go and be a manager.
Like even Spain, you look at Aragones and Del Bosque. These are Champions League and La Liga winners.
Yeah.
De La Fuente is like the first one that won for Spain, of course, too. That was pretty much a novice at elite level.
Yeah, I fully agree in terms of how the English coaching system is, right? I do think it needs to improve. I do think that's part of the reasons why they did St. George's Park, why they're trying to encourage a lot of players that are retiring now to get into coaching and to do that type of stuff. So I fully get that. England are behind on that. There's not even been an English manager to win the Premier League. So that just goes with that just says it all, right? However, I just do think that in this instance, especially after what Gareth Southgate had done or did or whatever, and I think Gareth Southgate, personally for me, talent kind of carried him through in certain moments. And when we did rely on maybe a bit of coaching now, saying what he was good at is relating with people, relating with the players. I don't want to start getting all political, but when all the racism stuff was going on, good answers, strong answers, kept the black players on side. No scandal. You know what I mean? He just kept it smooth.
Yeah, he was honestly perfect. Yeah, he was more than just
when he needed that tactical now, 100%. Sniff it. When do you make that sub? He just lacked. I just think if you're looking in the mold of that, because that has proven to be in quite a volatile nation in terms of how we see football. That has proven to be, I don't want to say success, but the closest to success since the 66. So I just think that's why a character like Howe, who I think is similar, a character like Potter, who I think is similar, would be good. They do come from like those managers are bubbling. You never know. They can go do a good job at England. The next thing you know, they are hot property for the next Man United job. They are hot property for the next Liverpool job or whoever. But I just don't know. I just think you're just putting a cap on it. We're just like, I don't know. You English lot are just not good enough to be the manager. Do you know where I come from?
Yeah, no, I hear
don't dream about it. I mean, I don't know, man. Like if Eddie Howe, he did have 56 injuries in one season. If Eddie Howe got top 4 again last year, would he be an English?
Everyone would be calling for Eddie. I remember when Harry Redknapp was bringing Spurs to the Champions League and Cup semi-final. He was the hottest property. Everyone wanted him to be the England manager. It was only because basically Spurs, like it was a whole story. Yeah, of course. And I think there was some controversy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I get it. You don't want, again, he only had one game, but you don't want a situation where it's like, oh, only options Big Sam. Do you go and come from? I get it. You don't want a situation like
our
that.
Our only option is Gary O'Neil.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? I chill on my boy.
I like Gary O'Neil too, but what's the equivalent today?
I fully hear you. It's Deitch or something. Yeah, our only option is Deitch. I get it, but that's why I just think you got a few little promising managers there. I think maybe they could have looked into that. But
let's talk about the positives. Yeah, let's look at it now from a point. Like, these guys are probably thinking, "Hey, when are you going to talk about Thomas Tuchel? What's the good things?"
Thomas Tuchel. Let me talk about Thomas Tuchel. For me, I think Thomas Tuchel, his reputation is interesting, and I was having a discussion with my boy. Firstly, as I said, Thomas Tuchel, he speaks English. He's lived in the country. He clearly likes managing here. If he comes, I'm fully supporting it. And I'm interested to see what he does, because England also have some really good teenagers coming through as well. How does he input? Reece James can never stay fit these days, but what does that mean for someone like him who he's worked with? Does that give a life to potentially Chilwell again? And I'm interested, Rubis Lofton-Cheek. Like, I'm actually interested to see if Thomas Tuchel comes in, what he does. He did manage Harry Kane. Does he maybe look back at his time managing Harry Kane like, it was good, but it weren't what I thought it was.
To be fair,
you say
know. That he coached him last season where Kane won the European Golden Boot.
Won the European Golden Boot, but he didn't. Listen, when you have time to reflect on your job and you're looking at the nitty gritty of why you didn't deliver in the big games, he might be looking at Kane like, yo, hold on. So I'm just saying.
Mason Mount for England, the return.
Mount, he's got life now. Rashford, he speaks highly of Rash. He really likes Rash. So there is going to be some people that are getting the opportunities. Maybe some people are going to lose opportunities. I don't know. But one thing I will say about Tuchel, right, is that I feel like his reputation it's a bit of a weird one.
For a manager of that much success, he's not really revered at times how you would think.
But don't you think that's because in the modern day, a sacking is seen as the biggest L ever? I feel like back in the day, thank you for mentioning, managers like Del Bosque, managers like Capello, Ancelotti even, these men have L's on their name, you know?
Of course.
They have L's on their
been
CV.
Fired by Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern, Napoli, Everton. They all fired him.
Thomas Tuchel has a similar reputation to like a Conte now. Why? Because Conte got sacked after winning a league.
I don't think it's the sacking bit. I think it's...
What is it?
I do think, and we always talk about this, it is the style of manager that he is. I think people looked at Conte, particularly his last spell at Chelsea, where that's successful. Immensely successful. But you looked at the way his football was kind of going towards. Even you were a critic at the end, like the full, all his goals come from his wing backs. It's a defensive style of play. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What I'm sounding sounds a lot like Conte, but in terms of like, it's not the Guardiolaism in terms of the way he wants to play football. And I do feel like people looked at that, even at Bayern, where again, also you look at the team that he had. It was more like a defense-first kind of view. He's a pragmatic manager. He is a pragmatic manager, similar to Conte. And I do think you look at the managers that get praised to the hills in today's game, they aren't in the mold. They're less successful than them, but they are in the mold tactically of these guys. They
so
are
is that
in the
what
mold
England want to go down then?
I think they want to go down the mold of winning. I think that's what they want to go down the mold of. And Thomas Tuchel, for me, is a winner. He's won everywhere he's gone. He's found success. And one thing for me that makes Thomas Tuchel at the international level so interesting for me is I believe this firmly. Maybe bar Ancelotti. He's the best knockout manager in world football, in my opinion.
Thomas Tuchel, Pep though, still in it. Surely Pep is still accumulating. I get what you mean.
He's sick too.
But Thomas,
kind of a niche. Okay, you know what it is? Guardiola's just the best manager. Yeah. But in terms of fairs. Knockout specialist. I think Thomas Tuchel is a knockout football specialist. We talked about this last year at Bayern. But everywhere he's gone, he's led his teams consistently.
I knew he was going to knock out
runs.
Arsenal. It was just
I was positive. I didn't think Bayern had a better squad than Arsenal. But in over 38 game season, maybe Arsenal finishes above them. But manager for manager, Tuchel in these one-off games where he just has the game plan for one single opponent on one given day, he's for me as good as anybody there is in the game. You've seen it consistently when he beat Real Madrid en route to a Champions League. He beat Manchester City. He beat Arsenal last season. Even people forget when Real Madrid won the Champions League, his Chelsea team almost knocked them out. In knockout competition, I think Thomas Tuchel is as good as it gets. And now when you look at international football, which is purely knockout football, and it's perhaps where you have seen England under Gareth Southgate. They've won a lot of games. They've gone far in competitions. But we always say about Gareth Southgate, what is it? The minute he comes up against a great manager or a team that has a much better midfield than him, his teams stand no chance. I think you look at Thomas Tuchel and how he's shown he can set his teams up for those kinds of matchups. I think it makes England infinitely more interesting when they come up against the likes of Germany, when they come up against the likes of Spain, Italy, France. I think England now, for me, I've never taken England seriously at an international tournament. You might say it's hindsight, but honestly, going into them, I've never taken them seriously in terms of going all the way. With Thomas Tuchel in charge now, I'm sorry, they're very, very interesting.
I hear it, because at the end of the day, that does come down to manager status. That does come down to what they've done previously in the game and stuff. And Tuchel has the reputation. He has the evidence of it. So that I fully agree with that. Like, you can't really argue. Is he a better manager than Gareth Southgate? Of course.
Unquestionably. But you could also make the argument there have been managers that have been better than Gareth Southgate whose teams haven't gone as far.
There we go. So listen, you can't guarantee anything.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
England could get to these tournaments and play France in the quarter in the last 16 and you're out. And we're like, hold on a second. Do you know what I mean? Now he hasn't got to the final at Southgate. So it's not really like...
That's going to be... That is going to be if Thomas Tuchel goes out quarterfinals the next tournament, you already know there's going to be people saying, this is what we got Southgate out of here for.
It's the Oli situation. It happens every time.
1,000%.
The Jose before Oli, everyone was looking at Jose. now Ten Hag's here, everyone's looking at Oli. When Ten Hag gets sacked, we're going to say, but he won 2 cups. Hold on, we got knocked out FA Cups, 5th round. Whoa, we won it first go. That's how it's going to be. So, listen, that's just the nature of the game. But I do think, as you mentioned, the Pep and the Fergie way of kind of Pep going around everywhere, never being sacked, winning everything, and Fergie staying at one club, building a dynasty. I think everyone just sees football through those lenses now. And I'm like, but guys, that's 2 generational coaches, right? That met around here or whatever. They're at the highest level. But in and amongst that, there's gotta be some managers still got to be eating and taking L's. And there has been Conte's, Tuchel's, Del Bosque, Capello, and
you're only as good as your last job. That's also the reality, right? You look at Unai Emery now compared to the reaction when he was leaving Arsenal. When Unai Emery was sacked by Arsenal around that period, he was the laughing stock of English football. Everybody was making fun of his accent. His football is garbage. You look at him, obviously the Villarreal job did massive things to his reputation. But you look at what he's done for Aston Villa now. He's now rightly revered as one of the best managers in the world. What's changed between Arsenal and Aston Villa? Okay, maybe he has picked up. I don't know what's happened. He's mostly the same guy, right? But it's really how good are you up to yesterday? Basically.
And listen, that's a shame. I mean, if you show it consistently, like maybe a Jose Mourinho, where you're not reaching the levels anymore,
right? Of course,
even though he did win something with Roma and stuff, but. You can say then you can be like, okay, your stock is going, you're struggling to get it back. But I do think people look at sackings too much as L's and career defining, and I think that harms Tuchel. I think him getting sacked at Chelsea, him getting sacked at Bayern Munich, which was a bit underwhelming.
By the way, I wouldn't even call it really a sacking.
They begged for him
back.
But it was a bit of an underwhelming.
Let's not forget, Thomas Tuchel was seconds away from playing in the Champions League final last year, guys, with a team that was probably inferior to Arsenal and Real Madrid. So.
It was an underwhelming spell.
For sure, I would agree with that.
That's fair. But I do think those stain managers' names a little bit too much. And I'm just using Conte as the perfect example, man. Conte, 100 points with Juventus. How many titles he won? Unbeaten. Goes to Chelsea, wins the Premier League first attempt, wins the FA Cup the next season. Gets sacked, goes to Inter, wins the league. How many times? 1 time,
Well, he was only there. He was there for 2 years. First year, he won the Europa League semifinal. Second year, they won
the league. Comes back to the country for Tottenham.
Brings them to the Champions League, by the way.
Got them to the Champions League. Got sacked while they were in 4th place, by the way. Cool. Sacked. Take some time out. Obviously, he did a little stint at Italy at some point as well. It was an entertaining time, but it was okay. Goes off to Napoli and they're top of the league as we speak. But this is a manager who you can't touch him. Do not touch Conte because of a couple L's, as you mentioned, stylistically and stuff. But that's a whole nother conversation. But do think L's are a little bit staining, and I think that is the case.
For me, if
Tuchel comes, I am going to be excited. I don't get it twisted, but I just think that I'm surprised England are going.
I just think, right, I hear the questions about stylistically, how is a manager when we're talking about club level jobs where we're talking about 38 game seasons and all that stuff, and in terms of building a club culture, I get that. But when I look at international football and it's purely about knockout football, game planning, game by game by game, pragmatism is the name of the game, man, honestly. And that's why I think Thomas Tuchel can do really big things. But let's talk about Thomas Tuchel and now probably the dwindling chance that he's going to be Man United manager, because I think that's an interesting subplot in all of this, because you cast your mind back 2 weeks ago when United had just lost to, was it Spurs? They got humiliated against Porto, even with the late equalizer, and then they drew to Aston Villa. It seemed like the writing was on the wall. It seemed like this international break was going to be a busy one. And I think probably the bookies' odds would have probably had Thomas Tuchel as a huge candidate for Man United's manager to replace Ten Hag. But none of that has happened. It's kind of been a very quiet week. The biggest news is that the only guy that got sacked at United is Sir Alex. It's not even Thomas Tuchel. It's not even Eric Ten Hag. So where does this kind of leave them? Because like I said at the start, if you believe the reports, Thomas Tuchel was considered as Jim Radcliffe's number one guy as a potential United manager. If you believe the reports as well, over the summer they approached him, and it was basically him that said, "I want to take some time away from the game." Now he's poised to be the England manager, leaving United, Ineos, and Eric Ten Hag now in a situation of what's the contingency plan here? Where do they go from here? How long is Ten Hag just a sitting duck until they find their guy? Who is the guy?
Well, reports are coming out that Man United are saying they never were planning on sacking Ten Hag this international break. He was never close to be sacked. They're gonna give him patience and let him have time. So, look, I think that could be maybe damage control. We got to get back into the mode. They got to fix back onto the football. At the end of the day, maybe they couldn't get their guy.
I'm sorry, if you have a massive meeting that's basically advertised to the world where all of your executives and everyone working at the football club is present about and seemingly about the future of one guy who's under massive pressure, you can't come out and tell me it was never even a question mark that he could get sacked.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know the nature of that conversation. I know that conversation, apparently that meeting, there was that that brokers and stuff. But again, brokers do have a say, not a say, but it can affect them financially and stuff. So, but anyway, I don't know if Ineos have come out and said that. Underwhelming, as we're both in the same boat. Not much to look forward to going in. I think Brentford's going to be flipping incredibly tough game. I'm just like, what do we go from here? As you're saying, what's the contingency plan? Honestly, I think they're just riding it till the wheels fall off, and that's not what you want to hear. As a fan, you bring in this board with all these Supermen and these Avengers, and it's just like, oh, we're just going to see what's going to happen, and
that's the vibe. Again, we don't.
Even then, like, what I would say is, maybe the manager that we want is employed. That's the thing.
You see, I hear that, right? And that's kind of like the belief that I've had all this time. It's the reason why, again, you can't tell me they wanted Ten Hag the entire summer when they interview 8 other guys. But is that right guy available? However, you have to get to a point, right, where not everybody can hire their main guy. You don't always get your first priority. That's in general life, but that's also football management. Are Man United not going to make any decision then until the perfect manager comes about? Does this perfect manager even exist? Have they identified someone that they're waiting to kind of be out of a job? At some point, you have to act, bro. Like, Thomas Tuchel was not Chelsea's again, this is just using Thomas Tuchel as an example, but going into, the 2020-21 season, when Lampard was the manager of Chelsea and they were signing him, Werner and Havertz, they had no idea that Thomas Tuchel was still at PSG. That wasn't a reality for them. Their plan was long-term with Frank Lampard. Eventually, you have to act. Lampard wasn't good enough. Tuchel is available. You go with Tuchel, and you see where it goes. You can't always find the right guy that leads this imaginary 5-year project. You have to act. And you look at the way United's season is kind of falling apart here. I get it. I want Ineos to think larger than just the next 6 months. But, bro, there's numerous managers out there that can do a job for this football club.
I just think, big for me, if Man United want to be respected as a big club, you've got to do stuff. Move like a big club. If you want somebody and you desperately want them, go and get them. Go and make them an offer they can't refuse. Go and tell them this is if whatever you want to spill, you want to give, this is Man United.
It feels like they're just sitting on their hands right now.
It kind of feels like, bro, again, I know Real Madrid are successful and but it kind of feels where it's just kind of like, we're kind of playing as a small club. It's like we're moving like a small club. If you want to go, if Thomas Frank is the guy you want to get, you think I care about Brentford are employing him? Go and get the man, bro. He's at Brentford.
That's
you know
what
what I'm
Chelsea
saying?
did with Graham Potter.
Exactly. Go and get who you want to get. Exactly. Chelsea did it. Go and get who you want to get. But, you get the pushback of like when Gary Neville be saying, oh, Barcelona wanted this manager, this man. They end up with this and they're buying. They got rejected loads of times and they end up with company. Whatever. Every situation is different. I just think Manchester United need to act like a big club. And I don't think big clubs for sure would be withstanding what Man United are withstanding right now in terms of sitting in 14th. I cannot imagine a world in which Barcelona are 14th, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, even
It's
Inter,
it's impossible.
AC,
It's impossible.
anyone. I cannot imagine Juventus that they are sitting in 14th minus goal difference after the season they had last year. And saying that I can't even imagine a big club just holding the manager after that season and just winning a cup.
Yeah, but that's
didn't Pirlo win a cup? Didn't
Yeah,
Pirlo
I
win a
think he
cup and
did.
got
Yeah,
sacked,
yeah,
bro?
yeah.
Like they were like, bro, he won a cup, they sacked his ass, and I'm sure he finished in the top 4 because Ronaldo played Champions League every year with
Yeah,
Juventus.
that's
So
true.
honestly, we're not moving like a big club. We're not.
I just honestly wish, because I want to believe that Ineos have a plan. I'm not as smart as Omar Barada. I'm not as smart as Dana. I'm not as smart as these guys who have years in this game. They have credibility, credit in the. I'm not delusional here, but surely there's something going on in their heads. Like they have a plan. Like I need to believe they have a plan, bro. If they don't have a plan, then honestly, my fandom is hopeless.
Only thing I can think of, right, and it might not be logical, is them just truly accepting that the level of player quality is like so bad that they're just like,
the way they're
what's the
approaching
point?
this, it's like
That's how I kinda feel.
right now. It feels like I'm watching
If
an
they just think
American.
that, yeah.
Right now, it feels like I'm watching an American sports franchise, like the 76ers back in the day. If you guys watch basketball, and like you said, our team is bad right now. The manager's bad. We're gonna tank basically. We're gonna give up the season, wait for our right manager to come in, go buy some players next year. Next year is when our project starts.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like this isn't that. Like this is football. It's completely different, and you can't just throw away seasons. But there's still something to get from it.
Forget even about throwing away seasons, because at the end of the day, they know the fans are still going to be here next season, right? It's not even that. It's the your public perception, bro. Like, for example, like Man United want to be in the market for the best young talents. Let's say, forget the actual best players in the world. You're not going to get that. Let's say the best young talents who are emerging to be maybe the best. No, let's say Florian Wirtz. Let's say Jamal Musiala, whose contract is in whatever. Who else can I say? Like, give me some names, some young players. I don't know who I can say, but you know what I'm saying.
I don't know, like Sesko or someone like that. Yeah.
Sesko, thank you, Sesko. These type of guys, right? We got Lenny Yoro, but you're looking at that. Why would they want to come play for Man United, bro? Like, if Man United come to them right now and they're looking at Man United lingering in 14th.
I don't even think it's that. Like, if United were, this isn't even a reality of United is the only club. I'm talking about, like, if Musiala's contract were to, like you said, he's kind of running his contract down. United are competing with Arsenal, City, why would you Madrid, Juve. Man United are bottom in terms of footballing pull. The only way they can even attract these guys is like we got Lenny Yoro paying above the odds, bro.
And this is what I mean. So that's why I don't get why you would want to just be sitting there in 14th.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look, bro. Like, I get it. Not all of these young players even grew up watching Man United win trophies, but they know that everyone knows the history of Man United. And even when they were growing up, even if we were bad, we'll probably still, most of these players would have still seen probably the last years of Ferguson. Yeah, probably last years of Ferguson. So you would know Man United are a big team.
And here's the thing, every year longer you're bad, it gets worse. If you're bad for 3 years, it's like, oh, but you're telling them, oh, we're going to be back though. You're going to help us get back.
Yeah.
If you tried feeding every single person the story of, you're going to bring us back, we're 10 years into this.
Yeah.
Hey, at some point, you guys just might never be back,
You're just going to be washed, bro. You're just going to be washed.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, United need to act, man. For me, like, you can't be lingering around. Like, the egg on the face of Manchester United board, the egg on the face of all the supporters. If Manchester, and I hate that we're even here again, imagine United lose to Brentford straight after the international break.
And Thomas Frank is the one that hands them an L.
Oh my God. If Man United lose this weekend.
You guys don't understand, bro. It's not even that game I'm looking at. It's the game after against Fenerbahce in Turkey against Jose Fred and Emrabat.
The Europa League yet?
England fans, let us know about Thomas Tuchel, man. That's enough United talk for today. Let us know about Thomas Tuchel. Are you excited? Are you, not pessimistic. I wouldn't say Cam's pessimistic. Are you apprehensive? Is that the word?
I'm not pessimistic. I don't think he's going to do a bad job. I actually think he could potentially do a good job.
Yeah.
I'm just talking.
Yeah, do you guys hear where Cam is coming from? Like, let us know all that stuff in the description below. Who would have been your preferred choice? As always, it's been the eye test, powered by BR Football. Make sure you're checking them out on X, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. There's so many apps these days. I keep forgetting. Go check them out on all of that stuff. And as always, like, share, subscribe. This channel is flying at the moment. These videos are doing super well, and we always appreciate your support. But that being said, it's been your boy Lyés and my guy CultureCams, and we'll see you next week. Peace.